Hello guys, and welcome back to another cold episode. On today's episode, we are back with Virtual World. Virtual World has fallen out of the meta for a while now, and honestly, it has come back. A lot more people have been interested in playing it, and I've seen it pop up in a few of the more OCG-centric tournaments as of late because they really like this deck. They think it's really cool, and will continue to play it until the heat death of the universe. But yeah, they've figured out a new way to play it due to Power Tool Braver Dragon. Yeah, we're basically just hand ripping our opponent because of this card right here, and we can actually hand rip them twice. We can look at two cards in their hand and deal with it, which is cool, right? Anyway, let's quickly do the card by card, starting with the hand traps, triple maxi, the triple ash blossom. We are playing a Nibiru because it is a nice cross-out target, and it's just really good in the current meta, I believe. Just having the one to draw into off of a maxi can really stop some plays, so that's very nice. And then, of course, the double called by and the one cross-out. As for the rest of the things, we're also playing the adventure engine. The reason for this is because it synergizes extremely well with the virtual world, and I'll explain that in a second. But yeah, so we're playing the full adventure package, the one Water Enchantress, the double Rite of Aramasir, the one Wandering Griffin Rider, the Fateful Adventure, and the Dracoback. As for the virtual world, I forgot their name for a second, we're playing one Nyan Nyan. This card brings itself back from the graveyard if a 3 or I believe it's just 3. Yes. No. You can special summon this card as a tuner if a level 3 monster is normal or special summoned to your field. Yes, sorry. First line of text. Yeah, so if you special summon either your Lulu or your Gigi, which is pretty good, you want to do that anyway, to your side of the field, you can then special summon the Nyan Nyan as a tuner, which is pretty good. Then we have the Lulu, which searches a card. All of the virtual worlds have a way to special summon themselves from the hand by targeting a virtual world card you control, then continuing with the rest of the effect. Lulu has the ability to send a monster of a different, or a card of a different type than the virtual world card you targeted in order to, you send one and then you search the other third type. So if you target a monster, you can send a spell and search a trap. Hopefully that makes sense. That's all of the effects. They all kind of synergize around that. Gigi can do very similar in order to special summon itself, but it's also just really good to normal summon. So we're maxing out on that, and of course we're maxing out on the Lulu. Next up we have Lao Lao. Oh, sorry. This one also adds back from the grave during the end phase. And they all have the effect to send, so they will always be sending something to the graveyard, whether that is a spell, a monster, or a trap. So there's that. Depending on what they target, they can't send something that they targeted. So something of the same type of card that they targeted. You get it. Next up, we have Lao Lao. Lao Lao can special summon itself and then special something from the graveyard of a different name. Then we have Lily, which sends 2 things, so you can send a monster and a spell. Really cool. And then, of course, we have the virtual world gates. Qinglong is the only spell that we do have Virtual World City Kowloon, which just gets a gate onto the field. So there's that. Pretty cool. The rest of the effects don't matter. Then we have ourselves the Qinglong. Qinglong is the on-field effect is to target a monster and negate it by banishing a Virtual World card from the graveyard. But the engrave effect, which is why you want to get it into the grave, is to banish itself in order to add a virtual world card, then send a card to the graveyard from your hand. This is very nice. It just adds an additional card, and it can potentially send something that is bricking you, like for example a Chuche or a Zhuanwu, in order to get their powerful graveyard effects as well. Next up, we have the Chuche. Chuche obviously has the ability to pop a card by shuffling two of your banished virtual worlds with different names into your deck, but it also has the graveyard effect to modulate levels between 3 levels. So you can change it from 3 to 6, or from 6 to 3, or vice versa, or up to 9, or what have you. Then we have Zhuanwu, who technically has an on-field effect, but it's only really used for its graveyard effect in order to banish itself to special summon a monster from the graveyard. Pretty cool. And yeah, that's basically it for the virtual worlds. The rest of the cards that we're running is the 1 triple tactics, the two equip spells for the Power Tool Braver, the Emergency Teleport, because for some reason this is a psychic. I don't know why, but okay. And then, of course, oh, no, that is it. Moving on, we have the extra deck. We have a bunch of 6s that are pretty nice. The Stardust Charge Warrior, the Coral Dragon, and the Gigi. Juju? I don't know how to say this one. I'm not gonna lie. I know how to say all the rest. This is the one I never summon. And yeah, it's still pretty good for corner cases. Being able to have specifically a virtual world name that is a 6 can come up. So that's very nice. We have the, for our nines, we have the Vermilion Dragon Mech, the Crocodile Dragon Archosaur, the Charles, Shen, and Power Tool Braver Dragon. So these two are used to specifically hand rip our opponent, and if we want to end on a slightly weaker board, but more specifically something that has staying power and has kind of like a floodgate effect with the Macrocosmos effect, Shen is the way to go. We also have, due to the Adventure Engine, access to the the level 10 engines, which is Baron de Fleur and Chenging, the two best 10s, so we're playing those as well. This extra deck is quite expensive, so do keep that in mind. Next up, we have the Geomathemech Final Sigma, because, of course, we can also play a 12, because guess what? 6 and 6 is 12, and also 3 and 9 is 12. So there you go. We're also playing for our rank 3, the Breaksword. It's just a pop card. Can be useful. We have the Beatrice and the Gaia Charger, and then, of course, the Zeus. So that's it for the deck. Let's hop into the duels and show you how this deck performs. Alright, so here we are going second, and hey, that's Nibiru. We also drew access to the Adventure Engine due to Fateful Adventure, which gives us a lot better of a time going second. Being able to go into something like Dracoback and bouncing a card is very powerful. So they're going to grab up their Leela, as well as have this very annoying card to deal with. But yeah, out comes the Sprite Engine as well. Not too surprising. We're just going to kind of skip through this. Out comes the Elf. Activate the effect in order to grab back their Live Twin, going to Gigantic Spike, and hey, that's 5. So goodbye. I do make a big mistake here by not waiting for the activation of the Gigantic Sprite to turn that engine off. But alas, what can you do? Whoops. Anyway, out comes the Sprite Blue effect in order to grab Carrot effect, Carrot to special summon. Out comes the Sprite Elf, and we pass. Bit odd, but okay. We do have to just chew through that one negate, and any other hand trap that they may have. Out comes the Jet, sure, that's fine. Jet effect, I'm going to actually just ash that. I don't want to deal with a Smasher in particular, so there you go. We are going to activate the Keenlong, and they choose not to. Okay. I'm gonna give you a quick lesson right now. When you negate the activation of a continuous spell or trap, it does not send it to the graveyard. That's not how Yu-Gi-Oh! Mechanics work. I know that in theory that makes sense, but in reality, the logic is, if you're negating the activation, the card is still a continuous card, meaning that it's still face up on the field, so negating the activation doesn't do anything. Yeah. It's not being sent to graveyard by game mechanic like it would be with a regular spell. Just keep that in mind. And also, this is negating the effect, which is very, very funny. So yeah, that didn't do anything. I can still literally just negate them. Anyway, they're going to negate the Lulu because it does have the effect to search, but that is fine because we're going to go and grab up the Water Enchantress and activate the Water Enchantress in order to grab up the Rite of Aramesir. Rite of Aramesir is now going to activate its effect in order to grab up the token. Then we can grab ourselves the Dracoback and spin away that pesky elf. Then we're just going to go to battle and deal as much damage as we can, as well as just deal with the board. Then we're going to set the Xuanwu, which does have another effect on the field, which during the battle phase, if you control another virtual world card, you can target a face-up monster your opponent controls, and move it. Just put it sideways. No, it says change its battle position, but you know we're putting it sideways. Out comes the elf. Once again, out comes the blue. Happy day. We're going to activate the effect in order to grab up the Jet, and we're going to special summon the Jet in order to grab up Starter. Not Smasher, that's fine. They're then going to go into Gigantic Sprite, because guess what? They need a way to deal with the Nibiru. They're going to grab up the Swap Frog, and they detached the wrong material. That's fine. It's fine, guys. Out comes the red. That is totally okay with me. Out comes Sky Centuria. Alright, fantastic. Well, it turns out the Xuanwu did come up. We're just gonna move that guy sideways so that we don't have to deal with the Zeus. And out comes the third elf. They're gonna go for the Ronin Totem, which they sent to the graveyard earlier, in order to go into IP Masquerena. I don't know why they got rid of their red, but sure. Bit of odd plays, but it's fine. We know that set card is the starter. I draw the called by, which is funny, and then we're just going to try and bounce the elf to the deck. They're gonna then activate the elf effect, we're going to call by. They're going to activate the IP Masquerena to get it off of the field, and that is A-OK. Out comes the Crusadia Avermax. Now, how do I deal with this? Well, you'll see. So we're going to activate the effect of the Lulu, targeting the trap in order to send the spell to grab up the Lao Lao. Lao Lao will then send a Nyan Nyan to the graveyard, and then we have enough for a Cheng Ying. Hey, look at that! Cheng Ying, a way to deal with the Avermax. So now we get to activate the effect of our Keenlong, which is literally just here to activate the Cheng Ying's effect, which will then bye-bye the Avermax. And guess what? Avermax specifically has to go to the graveyard. This allows us to just punch them really hard for lethal. Smile. Alright, now what does it look like when we go first? Well, we drew the Chaos, which is annoying, but honestly, not that big of a deal. So we're going to start off with the Adventure Engine, which again, we ended up drawing. So we're going to grab up our Fateful Adventure and grab the Griffin Rider. This also allows us to pitch the Keenlong, which is another one of those weird synergies that just happens to work very well with the Adventure Engine. Being able to pitch a card means that you can get things like a Keenlong or a Chuche or what have you into the graveyard for follow-up. We then get to grab up the Dracoback because we will need to eventually discard something. We're going to grab the Chuche here in order to use it for the Lulu that we're also going to grab, but we are going to send the Dracoback to the graveyard. We're then going to activate the Lulu in order to send another spell, doesn't matter the spell, in order to grab up the Lily. We're then going to activate the Lily, sending the Nyan Nyan, as well as the other spell of the Keenlong. We're going to go into Power Tool Braver Dragon to look at our opponent's hand as quickly as possible, and then activate the Chaos on top of it. Smoke Grenade of the Thief will reveal that it's Ancient Warriors. Yeah, it's Ancient Warriors. Alright, that's a lot of going second cards, and now I am scared. That's fine. I'm still going to just... It's fine. We're going to special summon out the Nyan Nyan and then go into Charles. Charles will then just proceed to the end phase, and we will re-equip the Smoke Grenade and then immediately pop it, activating the effect in order to rip out the Pot of Extravagance, because guess what? I do not care about your Harpy's Feather Duster. It's fine. So, they are going to begin, and they are going to start off with a Lightning Storm, pretty standard, and they're going to destroy all the spells and traps, which will then trigger the Dracoback because it's funny, and yeah, sure. Out comes their Ancient Warriors Saga. We're going to negate the Long One in their hand, the Loyal Guan Yu, sorry, which we knew of, and the last card that they have in hand is the Unknown. It is a normal summon. That's scary. Too bad they don't have a second normal, and they realize they can't do anything and concede. Yeah, hand rip for 2. Just get rid of their Pot of Extravagance. Alright, here we are once again going first. And this time we drew Emergency Teleport and the Adventure Engine. The Adventure Engine isn't entirely necessary, but it does help. And also there's Ash Blossom. Hilarious. That's fine, because guess what? We also have access to everything due to the Kowloon. So we get to go GG here in order to send the Keenlong. Keenlong will then grab the Lulu, pitching the Water Enchantress. Water Enchantress will now activate, and we can grab up the Rite of Aramasir. Fantastic! You'll love to see it. Rite of Aramasir, grab up the token, grab up the Fateful Adventure, and then activate the Lulu so that we can grab our Keenlong, as well as more specifically the Dracoback. We're going to activate our effect in order to grab up the Wandering Griffin Rider and send the actual, the Zhuanwu. We're then going to special summon out the Griffin Rider because that was 4 summons, and this is the 5th, and out comes the Nibiru. I called it correctly. We're going to negate that and draw a card. Cross out Designator right on time. Just, you love to see it, right? Alright, out comes the Lulu, which we special summoned off of the Zhuanwu, and then we are going to equip the Dracoback here. That doesn't really matter too much, because now we're going to go into a 9 of the Power Tool Braver Dragon. Now, my opponent currently only has 3 cards in hand, so this should be very interesting. Let's see what they're working. Oh wow, that is an insane hand. What the heck? Okay, I guess we're getting rid of Emergence. That's fine. We're then going to sync off into a final Sigma because we need some protection. I'm going to put the Water Enchantress back so that we can search it for later, and then during the end phase, we're going to add back the Lulu off of our Gigi. We're also going to set the Cross-Out Designator, even though I don't think it's going to come up, and of course, Cosmic off the top. You know what? It's fine, because they targeted the wrong card. Instead of targeting the Chuche, which actually does something here, they decided to not do that, but that's fine. They're going to go for Monk of the Tenyi, then they're going to activate the Vashetta. I'm like, oh no, wait, hold on. Why did we not deal with the... We didn't deal with the Chuche? Here's the thing. If they deal with the Chuche, they get full combo here. I have nothing. They decide to deal with the token. Look, these aren't the best of players, but it's still a good example of how this deck plays. Anyway, out comes the Taya, and of course we're going to immediately deal with that, and end phase. I don't know why we're still here, but alas, here we are. So yeah, now I just have to assemble lethal, which should be pretty easy given the draw is Lily. So we are going to go for the Lulu here in order to send the other card and draw in, or add our Kowloon. We're then going to go Lily and send 2, and then we're going to activate the Fateful Adventure to grab up the Water Enchantress. We're then going to pitch the Keenlong in order to grab up the third monster, which is the Lao Lao, pitching the Water Enchantress, and seeing that they decide to concede there, I don't know why we were in that for so long, but there you go. Alright, so honestly, I do really enjoy the idea of Virtual World, but the problem is that oftentimes they don't really have enough going for them with their own cards to really make it too powerful. It's kind of very mid without things like True King of All Calamities or the hand rips that you have here. So yeah, I would really like to see mostly a good extra deck monster or just something to go into that would actually make it worthwhile. They have a lot that they can do. It seems, you know, very synchro-centric. You could have better Xyz or stuff like that, but alas, Shen Shen just isn't enough by itself. It's pretty easy to make Shen Shen, so it's not like crazy, but you need something on top of that, and right now it's Power Tool, Braver Dragon. Just being able to rip a card out of your opponent's hand is pretty nice, especially if it's like a Harpy's Feather Duster, and then you still have the Chuche. That's nice. Anyway, yeah, honestly, the deck is still pretty interesting. It's very fun being able to utilize the Rite of Aramesir, or more specifically the Adventure Engine, to go into the 10s, as well as other such things that you can do. Yeah, I think one of the biggest boons to the Adventure Engine is the fact that you gain access to basically 2 summons. So this could either be an Omni Negate, or it could be access to a level 10, or access to just more bodies onto the field to protect you, which is very cool. So yeah, I really like the deck. I love using the Adventure Engine. I think it's great. I also love the idea and the aesthetic of the virtual worlds. However, I do think that the playstyle of just ripping cards out of your opponent's hand is a bit... But alas, here we are. So yeah, that's going to be it for this episode. I hope that you guys did indeed enjoy. If you did, a like is very much so appreciated. And if you want to check out more content like this, as well as more Yu-Gi-Oh!, then just be sure to subscribe. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye. Shout out to the Frost Guard, my members. Thank you guys so much for the support, and I hope you enjoy the content.